So this video is a quick review of slope, finding slope both from a graph and from 2 points that are on that line should all be reviewed for everyone. So other than the very top mild assignment, there isn't any practice that is specifically on slope, but there will be several problems throughout the other more advanced assignments that require you to rely on knowing how to find slope. So let's go over how to find the slope from the graph. Make this a little larger. So when we're finding the slope from the graph, we basically are figuring out how steep this line is. And we can have positive slope, we can have negative slope, we can also have zero or undefined slope. So just to review those things really quickly, negative slope is what we see right here. This line is headed downhill or as we go from left to right. So as our x values are increasing, our y values are decreasing. This is a negative slope. A positive slope would be in the other direction. So it would be headed uphill as you go left to right. A slope of 0 is a horizontal line. That line has 0 steepness to it, so it has a slope of 0. And undefined slope is a vertical line. The line is so steep that we can't put a measure on it. So those are kind of the 4 categories slope can fall into. For this example here, in order to find the rise and the run, we need to find 2 points on the line where the line crosses right at the grid so that it's going to be easy to count those values. So we already have this y-intercept marked. Y-intercept is often going to be a good one to use, but you certainly don't have to use it, especially if the y-intercept happens to be a fraction or a decimal value and it's not crossing right at an integer, right on the grid. Then I usually either trace the line up or down until I find another point where my line crosses right on the grid like this. So these are the 2 points I'm going to be counting the rise and the run between. So the rise is how much the line goes up, or in this case, how much it goes down. So the rise is negative. It's actually more of a fall. And so I can count those squares. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have -4 as my rise. And my run is how much the line goes over. So in this case, it's going over 1, 2, 3. So the slope of this line is -4 thirds. And I always want to check and make sure if I can simplify that fraction. In this case, I can't simplify the fraction, so we're done. That's the slope of the line. The other example that we have here is a quick review of how to find the slope when you have 2 points on the line. You do have this formula right here. It should look fairly familiar. You may have seen it before where this was y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. It doesn't really matter because in the end we're getting to pick which point is considered the first point or the second point. So a lot of times I will write it this way because students find it a little easier to remember. And then when we go to set it up, I'm just going to be subtracting the first y value minus the second value. And some students have a little easier time going in order like that. It doesn't matter as long as you're consistent. So whichever value you start with on the top, you have to, for the y's, you have to use the corresponding x value first on the bottom. So I can't do 7 minus 2 and then switch the order and do -3 minus -5. So just have to be consistent. So let's find the slope between these 2 points. So again, I'm just going to go first minus second, so 7 minus 2. And for the x's, it's going to be -5 minus -3. So finding slope is going to make us rely on knowing our integer rules. For example here, anytime I subtract a negative, that is going to turn to addition. So this is going to be -5 plus 3. On the top, it's 7 minus 2. There's no integer rules I need to apply there at this time. So now we can simplify. 7 minus 2 is 5. -5 plus 3 is -2. And again, I always want to double check, can I simplify that fraction? And in this case, I cannot. So that is a quick review of slope. Hopefully that all is still in there from last year and maybe the year before that also. If you do feel like you need some practice, the mild assignment on the top row is practicing slope both from a graph and from 2 points on Delta Math. It is the only assignment that is exclusively focused on finding slope, but a lot of the other assignments will rely on you needing to know how to do slope calculations in part of what the rest of the work is. So make sure you're familiar with that, and then once you feel ready, you can go on to video C.